Good morning. I'm coming at you from the future because I started this vlog and decided I was gonna do like a DIY vlog. Now, firstly, DIY is something, well, I'm okay at DIY, but I'm relatively new to a lot of the projects that I'm gonna be embarking on. So although I wanna share them on here, I just want to preface it with, I'm not a professional. I wanted to share my like slow reno. I haven't got the time or the cash to just blitz the whole house and do everything at once. But what I want to do over the next, it's probably gonna take like a year, is slowly chip away at some of these jobs which I've just thought I really want to get done for ages and haven't done. And also I've lived in this house for 6 years now, so it just needs a bit of a spruce up, do you know what I mean? This is a project that I actually started back when I was pregnant, which is a long time ago. My child's 1.5 years now. And yeah, I've tried to vlog some of it. I hope you enjoy. This is a bit of a random place to start a vlog, to be honest. Let me put you down. I was in my 2nd or 3rd trimester and I basically decided I wanted to box in the boiler. So I made the frame to do so, and then I got scared because I didn't have a stud finder to see where the wires and things were in the wall and pipes, and I didn't want to drill into the wall, drill into a wire, electrocute myself and the baby in my womb. I stopped. And then Alex's dad was here maybe 6 months ago, and he actually helped me put the frame on the wall around the boiler. And then since then, the frame has just been there and I still haven't done anything with it. I put up a story the other day about home improvements and people's recommendations for like how to tackle them. I mean, this is a 1930s house, it's an old house, and when I moved in 6 years ago now, we like knocked a wall down, went round, made everything as livable as possible, but obviously it was kind of like a first phase do-over. Like, it's still a Magnolia nightmare out there, but you should have seen what it was like before, and Magnolia just happened to be some of the paints that my mum had left over. She had like Magnolia and Calico and stuff like that. Not my ideal colours, but so much better than the wallpaper that we stripped off. I'm finally into that stage now where I'm like, right, let's go around the house, let's tick off the jobs, but I just didn't know where to start. I got some amazing advice from people on Instagram, like really helpful, of how to, organise the brain scramble and actually make a start on things. So I will show you my spready at some point. It's the evening right now of a Saturday, and I just thought, you know what, I've got like the bits of wood that I need to get up here. I've got the hinges because part of it needs to be a door so that the boiler is still accessible. I'm not going to finish it all today, but this weekend I'm just going to get that corner done, because that's another thing I struggle with in terms of DIY. I'm very much an all or nothing person, so unless I've got a whole week to do everything I want to do to this room, I don't start. You can just do it bit by bit. You'll still be happy with the end result. You don't have to have like a big reveal of everything that you did in one go. I'm kind of speaking to myself here. This is the first weekend where it's felt kind of warm. Like, I went out today just with this shirt on, didn't need a jacket, it was lovely. We took Rue to a little farm this morning. We looked at the donkeys and stuff. We had a little sit down in the cafe. Went over to my mum's this afternoon. We've had a really lovely chill day. And now I'm just cooking a bolognese. Don't know if you can hear that bubbling away in the background. And boxing in the boiler, because obviously that's 2 things you would do at the same time. But let me show you the progress. So here is the boiler. Please ignore the scuffs on the wall. I'm repainting the kitchen, but that's going to be happening after all these nibbly bits that I'm doing around the room. You can see horrible unsightly pipes at the top, horrible unsightly pipes underneath. I have looked, so if you're boxing in your boiler, you need to check the regs of your boiler to make sure that you're leaving enough space around it. Ours is a combi boiler, so it actually doesn't need that much ventilation, it just needs access. I've left 2 centimeters out the side, 6 centimeters at the front. So this is the frame, and then I'm making MDF panel and door. The door here is going to be cut so that the bottom opens and also the top opens for when you need to service the boiler. I've actually just put some wood primer, like paint primer, on the bits of the frame that I think are going to be or might be particularly visible, and I'll also paint those whatever colour I paint the doors, haven't decided yet. As I mentioned, I actually made that frame during my pregnancy, and I did film some of it, which is weird because I hadn't come back to YouTube yet, but I kind of knew that I wanted to. So I filmed bits of it and then I just never did anything with it. So I will insert some of that here. Enjoy my humongous swollen face and belly. So I've done all my calculating, I've checked, I've triple checked, I've measured. So let's pray this is right. I've got all the wood here, and I've got spirit level, try and make sure everything's straight. And I'm going to use just wood glue to start with. So, potential problem. I've started the process, and I have used wood glue on these 2 smaller pieces. I neglected to read this and realise that I would need a clamp, which is quite stupid of me because, I mean, yeah, obviously you're going to need something to hold it in place while the glue is drying. I just thought it might be a bit more instantaneous. This is definitely classic me. Thinks they can do something without like properly thinking about everything they need and just thinks that they can wing it. I'm trying to think of creative solutions I could use for a clamp in lieu of having one, but I don't think that any such thing exists. Okay, I've improvised. This is the new and improved setup. As you can tell, it's very professional. I've used masking tape to hold it really tightly together. I had a long piece of masking tape that I threaded under the bottom and then I've clamped it over the top. Well, I've hooked it over the top. It's obviously not going to be as good as using a clamp, but my hope is that it will be able to hold it in position long enough for the glue to do its job. By some miracle, I've done the frames and this is going to be the moment of truth. I'm just going to hold them up and see if they fit. Oh, knock my ceiling off. Boiler. Obviously screw the whole thing together. This side bit will be just a panel and this front bit will have a door that will obviously open this way. I'm actually quite impressed with myself, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I appreciate what I've made here is 2 rectangular frames of wood. So arguably not massively impressive, but I've never done this before. Next step will be fixing it to the walls and then creating the panels, which I'm going to do another day because I'm quite tired. We are back, cramming a bit more boiler work into the evening. We took Rue to soft play this morning, which was great. It was lovely. This afternoon we popped over to B&Q. I've got some more wood that I need and just the last few things that I think I'll need to finish off the project. So my kitchen cupboards, as they are, have got like shaker style paneling. I think that's what it's called. Essentially I went and got the slats that I'll need to do the same on these, and then I've just done some measurements on these slats that I need to cut for the last few because I knew the lengths when I got the wood cut at B&Q, but what I actually didn't know was this bit, which is fine. So I just got him to do it in the right width and then I'm going to cut the lengths. I can cope with that. We're back. It is the crack of dawn and I'm about to start painting. Got all my bits set out here. It's not meant to rain today, so I'm hoping I can just leave it outside all day. I'm going to prime first. I don't actually know if you need to prime MDF, but I'm doing it. I've just got the Dulux undercoating primer. I'm super tired and I've lost my glasses. I can't remember the last time I saw them. I think when I went to Portugal, although I wore them home, I'm sure, so they should be somewhere, but where that place is, I don't know. If you want to know why people in Britain are always talking about the weather, it's because it sucks and it is so unreliable. It literally said it wasn't going to rain today. I've set this all up, I've started painting, and it is now raining. I'm gonna have to try and move it in the garage. I've primed everything. I've started to put together the shaker style fittings, and I've also put the first door.
Oh, you're filming then?
Yeah. Doesn't matter, I'll just cut you out. So back in the present day, I will show you how I'm getting on with the boxing in. I've got my 2 doors on. They do open and close. I've got some paper under there because I was painting them. I've got my slats at the top, which have all been wood glued, and as you can see, I bought these little clamps off Amazon. Finally got some little clamps. And I've also just put wood filler on the edges and things, tried to tidy it up. This area has had 1 coat of the paint colour, but the top, you might be able to see there, that's just been primed. Also got my little magnets so that my doors stay shut. I'm gonna give it a sand first because it's got some wood filler on there, give it another coat of paint, and then see if it needs a third. This is the paint colour that I'm using. It's called Calgary. It's kind of like an off-white, but with some sort of grey, quite cool undertones. The rest of my kitchen cupboards are grey, so I feel like that would tie in quite nicely. I didn't want to try and match the grey or have something darker up here because obviously it's high up in the room and I just feel like it would have been super imposing. Whereas this colour is quite nice because it blends in nicely with the walls and also just feels light and airy and doesn't feel quite so intrusive. I was using an 80 grit sandpaper on the wood and on the bits that I'd filled in. Then I'm also going to use a 220 between my coats of paint and also over the final coat just to like smooth everything out and make it look good. Apparently that's what you need to do. can't tell if it's going to need another one. Paint just dries in a really patchy way, so it's very difficult to tell. I'm such an impatient person that I really struggle with this, like leaving it 12 hours between coats and all the rest of it, but I'm trying to do everything as properly as I can because it is just classic me to rush something and be annoyed at myself that I didn't take my time over it. I think we're on day 265 of this project. It has been tricky fitting it into like nap times and evenings, but it's pretty much done. I just have a few more decisions to make. I bought this ages ago. You might remember actually, I think I showed it in a homeware haul. My intention is to have these on the side of the boiler box so that we can keep our keys on them. They're our garage keys, but you get the idea, like we'll be able to hang our keys up because I am awful. I mean, the hooks might not fix the situation, but I am terrible for just walking in the house, putting my keys somewhere, and then I can't find them. And honestly, it drives Alex mad. I think if you were to ask him, what are the top 3 most irritating things about Cyan, he would definitely list the fact that I just put stuff down and lose it. I blame the mum brain, you know, I've always got a lot going on. I'm trying to get 2 people in the door, trying to wrestle the pram to fold it when it's raining outside, whatever. You know, I'm always going to find an excuse. My dilemma is I really love this wood finish. It's mango wood. And I want to leave it as it is, but it doesn't really match the countertops. Alex said maybe paint them black. I'm thinking put them up for a few weeks, see how I feel. And then if I don't like it, I can always unscrew it and paint it. What do you think? I think that's quite sensible. So that and putting the handles on are the last things to do. Oh, and I also got these little picture hooks from Wilkinson. I don't know how well you can see them, but they've got a brass end that's quite decorative. I'm going to use one of those as well to pop on the side to put our calendar on. I know in an ideal world you would have this with nothing on it. The reality is, you know, we live here. I like having my calendar there, visible in my kitchen. It's the most sensible place for it to be. I mean, my mum suggested putting it on the inside of the door, but I just feel like that's a recipe for disaster.
I'm not sure I understand.
I wasn't talking to you. Finishing touches. I'll go. And then it'll be the not so big reveal because you've seen every step along the way, but hey. If you can hear heavy breathing in the background and like weights clanging, it's because Alex is exercising. It's a Sunday, so I have no idea why he wants to be doing that, but here we are. I can finally report that the boxing in of the boiler is done. It took 3 coats of paint to get the colour even. It's got a kind of really subtle mocha undertone almost. As you'll see, we were already sort of living in it, so I've put the calendar up. Got the hooks up. The jury is still out on whether I'm going to take that off and paint it black. One thing I am kind of annoyed about is that the bottom door has like a bit of a tilt. It doesn't seem to be completely level. This must be something to do with how I've put the hinges on, even though they are measuring straight. So at some point I might go back in and fix that, but overall it's really not a big deal and it looks so much better than it did. This project cost me around 160 to 180 pounds. The reason I can't give you an exact figure is because the project was kind of spread over 2 years. I wish I could remember exact figures of when I initially bought the MDF and the timber to do the frame, but I really can't. Although in my mind, I'm pretty sure it was around 80 pounds in that initial section. And then I spent another 80 pounds on extra bits of wood, paint, all of those things. So I guess if you already had like well-equipped toolbox and bits and bobs like fittings, paints, etc., obviously that would bring the price down quite a bit. I do have a lot of material left over, and I've also got some of the paint and the primer and stuff, which obviously I can then use for future projects. So all in all, I'm not mad at the cost. It definitely would have cost more for me to pay somebody to come and do this. I was sort of tempted to get a quote from someone just so I could compare, but I feel like that would be wasting people's time. I really hope you enjoyed this kind of part 1 of the slow reno. You can let me know if you'd like to see more. I mean, DIY is a bit niche, I guess. It's not really what my channel has been about previously, but I feel like at the moment I'm really just rolling with the lifestyle theme and trying to fit in videos where I can. And obviously if I'm doing a big project like this, if I could film it at the same time, it's kind of like a double whammy if I can get a video done as well. Also, let me know your thoughts on the hooks that we've got our keys on. Should I take them off and paint them black, or should I leave them as they are? I would love to hear your thoughts. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, as that really helps. I know it's a little bit extra effort if you're watching on a TV, but it can be done and I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!